All right, cool. Well, thanks everybody for being here. My name is Adam Kilborn, and I own Black Raven Films, which is a video production business here in Las Vegas. And one of the things that I wanted you to understand and to have confidence in is that I'm completely self-taught. So I've been doing this for 10 years, and everything that I've learned and developed and created with my teams and everything is everything that I've taught myself along the way. So I didn't go to school for filmmaking or anything like that. I do have a degree in acting, but that just means I know how to pretend what I know what I'm doing. So all this stuff for video creation that you're going to be try doing, know that you can totally teach yourself how to do this. There's all the tools necessary to become an amazing editor, and that it's all for free. Like none of this stuff you got to pay for or anything like that. So today I just want to give you some tips, some guidance on how to actually create content here. And we're going to dive into a quick presentation that I gave last year to the American Marketing Association here in town. And if I will go ahead and click on the button to share the screen, you should be able to see a PowerPoint here that's going to pop up in just a second. So, does everybody see that there? Cool. So this is a presentation that Shahab and I gave to it. Shahab's another filmmaker here in town. And I can send you a PDF version of this with all the links that we're going to go through. If you're interested in following up on it. Really, the thing I just want to say is video becomes more and more important as a way for us as consumers to digest it. So it sees it more and more. You can tell by the way that we're cutting cable, right? So more and more stuff's going online in video production. Disney, for instance, this year is going to launch Disney Plus. It's going to be a rival to Netflix. That's the reason why Netflix has been canceling all their shows, is because Disney owns a lot of their content and has been pulling it off the platform, prepping for their own platform, Disney Plus, at the end of this year. Content's king, and every single year it's cheaper and easier for you and I and everyone else in the world to create content out there. So we're moving everything online. One of the things that you guys are all going to be dealing with is how to capture video content. And right now you might have someone else creating the video for you, right? They're recording stuff for you, and they're giving you the files, or you're helping someone out, or you might be doing it yourself. But the capturing of a video is probably where everyone first starts to think of as far as creating their own video. Your best video capturing tool that you already own is your cell phone. This right here. These magical little computer devices with this camera on the back. It's got an amazing capability to record everything that you'd want to do. That said, there are limitations to this thing that you need to be aware of and how to get around. Probably the biggest thing about these cameras is that it's a fixed focal length. It's a specific length. So just like this camera here on the screen, right? If I get close, that's my face, and if I get farther away, that's my face, but I can't actually change the focal length. I can't zoom in and out of this thing. And the same thing's going to work with your cell phone. And that's not a problem. It's just something you got to work around. So you set your cell phone at the proper length that you want to frame yourself up in, hit record, and you can start recording yourself, maybe doing a voiceover or talking about, some topic there on camera. If you look at our website, blackravenfilms.com, and you pull up our promotional video, our reel, it's just me talking on camera, directly at camera, introducing myself, introducing what it is that we're all about. And that's a really powerful way for you to tell your message. So if you want to, you've got a script written out, a lot of these are voiceovers, but it's really nice to see the person that's talking. So throw your cell phone up, you could capture really good video with that, with your cell phone. There's other links in here for other cameras, other ways that you want to do it. You're like, my cell phone's not good enough. I want to do better stuff. Point and shoot cameras. My wife has a YouTube channel with 35,000 subscribers on it, and her entire channel was built off of a $120 point and shoot camera. So it doesn't have to be super expensive stuff to get content that draws audiences in. It can be very, very inexpensive stuff. And that's literally her. Just to give you an example of what she looks like when she's out filming. This is her when she films. She literally is like, hi, blah, 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 blah. And she's holding a camera in her hand like this, selfie mode, and talking to it. and that both audio as well as visual is enough for her audience to like watch and listen to that whole thing. So that's like I said, $120 point and shoot camera that some of you probably already have one of those in your pocket. DSLRs, mirrorless, those are all higher professional cameras. We're not going to talk about them, but there are links in that thing that I can send to you guys. Lighting is going to be the biggest thing that you're going to be dealing with in that scenario. And I want to share with you a quick thing about all these automatic cameras that you're probably all going to be utilizing, is that it is very important for you to have the light in front of you brighter than the light in back of you. And I'll give you an example. Do you see the exposure of I'm going to stop sharing. And you see my face there in this in the talking box. You see how the light sets. I got a little bit of light here and a little bit of shadow over on this side, and it's all fairly dark in the background. I'm going to open up windows behind me, and you're going to see a difference on the exposure. Do you see in the visual there the difference of my face? I'm in shadows now. You can barely see me, right? What happened? I made it brighter in the background, and the stupid computer doesn't understand that I'm more important than the background. So when you're paying attention to lighting things with automatic exposure cameras, and that's my webcam as well as my cell phone, it is very important to realize, you're like, why am I so dark? You're so dark because it's the camera's trying to adjust for the bright thing that's behind you. So if you're wondering what's going on, just move, and all of a sudden it'll be slightly different, right? Have the light on you as a key light, as a front light there, or as a kind of as a side. But that's typically what's going on there. So I'm gonna go shut these real quick, and you'll see me a little bit better.
My light on.
Everybody's checking his light now.
Okay, so back to the PowerPoint. So lighting, best way to do lighting is like right now I'm just lit by natural. I open up a window in my office here, and it's bouncing light off of a wall. Just stay away from direct sunlight typically for any of these things. If you've got a backyard that's in shadow or in shade, but it's still got maybe a wall that's bouncing some light into you, that's typically the best. Or maybe you got big bay windows, and just step back from the big direct sunlight and use the indirect light bouncing off someone. That'll probably be the nicest light that you guys need. And that's probably all you need. Just film during the daytime. If you do need actual lights, you can buy $10 lamps from Home Depot or a similar construction site to get you lights, and you can use diffusion with like literally bed sheets. There's tons of video out there and stuff for cheap DIY lighting. In fact, this link right here, this wistia.com library down and dirty lighting tricks, that is see if I can actually pull that up.
What's DIY? Is that the name of?
Do it. No, do it yourself. Do it yourself. So can you see? Let's refresh that. Let's see if I can't pause it. Can you see this website here?
No, we don't.
Not yet.
Okay, hang on. Sorry, hang on. I'm gonna stop sharing. Un momento, s'il vous plaît. Stop sharing. There we go. Share this. There we go. So DIY is do it yourself. Down and dirty DIY lighting tips. Okay. So this guy, can you see the screen now?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Cool. So these can lights here are $10 at Home Depot a piece, and he has a couple of them set up with a little piece of like wax paper in front of him. Probably wouldn't use wax paper because he's probably got some other type of diffusion, but it's literally just tracing paper that's over the light to diffuse the light to kind of break up the light pattern a bit, and that's his lighting setup. Two $10 lights with some stuff. You can use, like I said, you can use a white pillowcase, some sort of diffusion to break up the light. Gives a nice soft light, and that's the way if you wanted to, you're like, man, it's 10 o'clock at night, there's no sun out, what am I going to do? If you've got a light like this, or maybe a lamp at your house, something that you could put and have get fairly close to it, it'll give you a decent bit of light to do that. And all he has is a background, a black, or, paper background in the background. But I think he spent all of about $50 on this whole setup that he did for the lighting. So that's just something for you guys to pay attention when you're doing this stuff. Lighting is very important, and you can do really inexpensive ways to make that happen. So let's go back to the presentation. That's a photo thing. This is editing. So this is what we're going to spend most of the time today. There's a lot of basic and free editing softwares that are out there, and YouTube, for instance, has its own. If you're going to share directly to YouTube, they have their own basic editing program. iMovie, Windows Movie Maker, they have their own basic editing software program. The big ones that are out there that we interact with a lot is Premiere Pro with Adobe Creative Cloud, and the other one is DaVinci Resolve. Now, Premiere Pro with their Creative Cloud platform does cost you a monthly subscription fee, so it's probably not going to be for most of you. But if you did want to do it, you can get it for as cheap as just that application for $20 a month. Most people are going to be like, I don't want to spend $20 a month on this thing. I just wanted to make a couple of cool videos. So there are. I would recommend for like the professional DaVinci Resolve. That is a free program, and I'll pull up, what this looks like here. DaVinci Resolve here. This program, DaVinci Resolve, utilizes. It was originally a coloring program that professionals used for coloring, color correction, and that type of stuff for Hollywood films. And now it's got its own nonlinear editor, its own editing software, and it's completely free. The professional version costs $300, but you don't need to. The difference between the free version and the professional version literally is like one plugin and one export setting. Else is the professional version of this whole thing, and it's going to give you all the things that you would expect in a professional editing software. I know Gilead talked about Hitman Films, and if you go into Google, you can see that there's lots of. I just typed in Google here, top free NLE software, or NLE is nonlinear editor. Most of you are probably not going to remember that. So top free video editing software. For PC or Windows, right? So we go for PC, and you can see there's 20 best free video editing software programs in 2019. Some of them are going to be pretty, simple, and you might have to sign up for some stuff. So anytime they say free, I was kind of like, oh, is this going to be any good? But a lot of them are really good, and you'll see up here, Blackmagic DaVinci Resolve. That's several Hollywood films that are in the theaters right now. They're edited and filmed or color corrected on Blackmagic DaVinci Resolve, and there's not any weird stuff that you got to download in order to get that. So.
And I see the iMovie up there, which comes with the cell phones. I think.
Well, it is if it's on Apple. Yeah, like I use Droid, so I don't have that, but it is iMovies. There's nothing wrong with iMovies. The key with all this stuff, I'm gonna share with you what is this? I'll share with you the software this Premiere Pro here, so we can talk intelligently about it. So this is the important thing about any editing software that you're going to use is can you manipulate the video and the audio separately? And what you're looking at right now on the screen is Premiere Pro, which is going to be the exact same thing as DaVinci Resolve here. In fact, I can pull it up here in a second, but I just wanted to bring this to you so you could see it really quick. This here is a timeline. So this box right here, I can make this bigger, I believe. Yeah. So this box right here is your timeline. Across the top here, you'll see. I'll mute some of this stuff. You guys aren't actually going to be able to hear that, and I don't need to hear it in my background here. This here up across the top, I'm scrubbing the timeline. I'm moving from left to right here on it. It's where you place your video in. So all these video editors really are doing is their programs saying, hey, this video file clip I'm sitting somewhere on my computer. Let's take this little section of the video from this starting point to this ending point, and let's play it on this timeline. And so that's what we do. We import our footage and place it onto the timeline so that we can manipulate it. And when I say manipulate it, is that this video clip here, I'll just make it small here, this video clip itself is, how long is this? That is 5 minutes long. So this is a 5 minute long video clip. Well, I don't want to use the whole 5 minute video clip, right? When you record your voiceover, you record a little bit of footage there. You don't need the entire video clip. In fact, you only need like maybe 2 or 3 seconds of that video clip. So what we need to be able to manipulate for any of these softwares is getting to endpoints, right? Starting in endpoints and adjust them. And in a lot of these programs, it's typically just a click and drag type scenario. So I just grab the endpoint and I start moving it where I want it, how long I want it. I'm like, I want it 10 seconds. I want that video clip to be 10 seconds. You would probably almost never want something 10 seconds. You typically want stuff a lot shorter. But if you can manipulate it, it's literally just get it onto your timeline and then click and drag to make that happen. So that's one thing you want to be able to do, is to adjust endpoints. The other thing that you want to be able to do is to separate the video from your audio. Why is that important? Because a lot of times you're going to want to have your audio track, which is your voiceover or your music or anything like that. You don't want it to be attached to the video. You want to be able to manipulate those independently of each other. So this right here, right now, you can see the video as I click and drag the video back and forth. The audio, which is down here on track A2, it moves back and forth. I'm like, well, I don't want that to happen. So different programs will have different ways of doing this. Right click on this and I'm going to unlink those two. So now they are independent of each other. That top one and that bottom, they're independent of each other. And I can move the video, but the audio stays independent and by itself.
Adam,
yep.
I have, now I do my video at the same program, but the version 2019. I do my video and I finish, but I have a question about how I put the title of the video.
You want to put a title on the video?
Yes, in the beginning.
Okay, great. So, yep.
Go ahead. I'm going to let you answer that, but then also you don't need to do that for our video, okay? Just so that you know.
I don't have?
No, because we're like Bob will do that. Once you submit a video to team management, to Team and Beyond, we want to have a consistent title page and a consistent credit page with all the videos in a link, because it goes in a link. It's not an individual video anymore. It becomes part of a presentation. So we don't want you to have a title page.
Okay. And another thing about I have to put the text of the script, or I haven't.
So you want to put some sort of titling over the script, over this thing, right? That's what you'd love to like maybe
text on the
titles.
screen.
Yeah, you want to put some titles for the person's their name or something like that, or what's happening. You maybe want to put some text up on screen. That if you're using Premiere, it's pretty simple. They develop a titling tool. It's this type tool on the left hand side. This right over here is all your it's a lot of basic tools. And if you ever you can click on it directly. Like this is a selection tool. So if I want to select stuff, I want this arrow to be showing. You just hover over it and it says selection tool. Or you hit the V. See that little parentheses says V? You can just click on V and that'll happen. If you want to type stuff on screen.
But what I did is I understand that Lori and Bob do that.
Well, right, but you might want in the middle of your thing a title, right?
Yeah, like 500 people attended meeting. You could put like a simple caption or text on the screen.
So if I click on that T. For this stuff here, you just literally just click and drag onto the screen and start typing, 500. Hang on, I gotta move something on your good screen here.
I should put the words of the script. It must.
Bob, you want him to put, because he's in Israel, right? So just
let's get the video. Yeah, let's get the video done to the point that it's really good, and then we'll worry about the words on the screen.
Right.
One step
But
at a time.
Yeah, what you want to do, if you wanted to do any of that stuff to put text on screen, this is how it's handled in Premiere here. And I know we need to get over into DaVinci Resolve here in a second. So, but in a nutshell, it's gonna, what it will do the second that you put any element into a timeline, you'll see it in two places, right? You can see it on the screen up here that it's up there on the actual video itself. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's around here, and I can manipulate it up here, do things with it. I can also see it in my effects panel here. I could start adjusting the text different ways, right? I want to change the font. I'm like, I hate that font. I want something fancier. Let's do Mulat. I don't know what the heck that is, and I want to change the color. So you go into the fill here, and we're going to change the color to black. Oh, that doesn't work. So let's change it to white. But maybe I want a drop shadow on it. I'll throw a drop shadow on it. So really dramatic, right? So those are all things that you can do to the text. You'll see I'm manipulating it in different places, either on the screen here, where I'm moving it around, the actual video screen it's going to play there, or it's in the actual timeline again. This level, this right here, this is in two places, right? I've got my video underneath. These are all built on layers, and this is the same in most editing softwares. They build on layers. Bottom layer is this bottom layer is the first thing we're going to see, and then everything I add needs to be on top of it. If I switch the order of those things, it's going to cover it up. So move that over here as well. I start covering up with things. That text is behind everything. Why? Because I've got this and this above it. I want to make sure that you've got your text goes on the top layer of things, right? It's like Photoshop. They build things on layers, and video is the same thing. So if I wanted to, I'm going to reset some of this because it's got a bunch of extra effects here on this thing that we want to take off. You guys aren't going to be doing any of that stuff. So if I wanted to, I got two video clips. Oops. Sorry, give me a second. Pull that in. Yeah. I got two videos.
So as you're getting your things set up over there, Adam, I was going to touch back and talk about the few things that you mentioned earlier about video and editing software.
Right.
And you mentioned YouTube, and you didn't mention Adobe Spark, which is another one. But the problem with YouTube Editor and Adobe Spark, it's an online editing, so the editing capabilities is as good as your internet connection. So
right. No, I wouldn't do any of that stuff. Editing online's challenging. There are some simple things that you can utilize online, but most of the stuff you're going to want it on a local source because the files are so big.
Right.
So
yeah.
Most video files are.
That's the problem with the YouTube one, unless they changed it recently. But you're basically in this online of you make an edit change and you wait.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's challenging. It's challenging. So, but all of these are going to have they're all going to have the same interactivity with it all. They're all going to have similar functions. So the words that I'm talking, like a timeline, every editing software is going to have a timeline. That's where you place the footage into it, right? Most editing software is going to give you the capability to move start and stop points on the screen. Most of them are going to give you the ability to disconnect the audio from the visual, and those are all things that as you edit stuff through are going to be important. So right now, what I was saying is what happens is you're going, okay, I got this clip happening. I got this clip happening, and then I go to this clip, right? The next clip pops up, right? It cuts. Boom, it cuts, and this guy's fist in the air, and I'm like, I don't want that guy's fist in the air right there. I just want to see the goaltender as he climbs up from being scored on. Sad face. So what I'm doing is I'm dragging the ends of these video clips to the point I want. And they're like, I want it right there. There's quicker ways to do this, but I'm doing the simplest way. If you're just starting from scratch, you're just dragging the ends, and then you're gonna grab the actual video and move it as well. So now when we cut from this visual to this visual, we don't have that guy's fist in the air. Right? And that's the process of literally just grabbing clips, putting them in, into a timeline and starting to maneuver them around.
Right.
And it's when you first start touching the thing, you're like, what button does what? And it's really complicated. But I can guarantee you play around with the software for about an hour on a project that you're doing, you'll start figuring out how all this stuff works. And it's going to be a couple of basic things. A, how do I get the footage into the program? That's literally just how do I tell the program that there's footage that I want it to play with, right? And that's going to be your import dialog. So anytime you need to get footage into a project, you need to import it in. And the reason why you need to do that is because all these programs are doing is pointing to where the footage is at. Right. So your computer is set up with bins, right? I'll show you. It's your computer set up with bins, right? The C drive, as most of you are going to have a single drive. There might be in documents. You need to get the footage there all of it to a central spot. And you're going to need to tell your nonlinear editor, whatever you're using, whether it's Premiere or DaVinci Resolve or Hit, hey, there's footage over here. So the first thing you got to do is import. And that's a process. When I say import, you'd go to your project bin, wherever that is, whatever that is in the thing, and you go, this is right click. You see an import button, or it might be a file. You go to the file on Windows or a similar thing in Apple, and you'll see an import dialog. You're looking for the import dialog, and what that's doing is you're saying, hey, I want that video. It pulls up a dialog box and saying, I want this video, this DLVEC event calendar. I want that. I need to import it into my project. What that's doing is it's telling this editing software, hey, there's a file that we want to play with. And so you import it into the program, and then it's going to show up in one of your project boxes in a bin over it somewhere, and now it's right over here. That's that footage that we just grabbed. That's now in a project box, and I can then grab and typically it's a click and drag scenario where you literally grab whatever you want and drop it into a timeline. Drop it into your timeline. That's most of these are going to be able to do it. If it doesn't, then there's probably a way that you'll need to figure out based on whatever program software you're utilizing. But that's the process. And once it's on your timeline, then you can start manipulating it. And you're not, all of these things, it's non-destructive. So you aren't actually editing that video right now.
Right.
You're not actually changing the root file of this thing. All you're doing is manipulating the program to tell it where to start and stop on this thing. Because at the end, you're going to have to export. So first we import it into our editing software. At the end of this process, when we're done with our video, we are going to export it out. We're going to literally create a brand new video that doesn't exist. So, yep.
And another thing I do personally is I never disconnect the audio from the video. I just mute it out completely.
That's a way you can do it as well.
I mean, it makes a bigger file, but we had someone who created a Game in the World video, and their editor disconnected it, the dialogue, with them speaking in camera. So then when they were in front of the camera, they could never get the lips back in sync with the voice. So you got to be really careful. It's a trial by error, and point out where you can adjust the volume down at the bottom, so people can get a grasp of that. Those little lines.
Yeah. So here I'm going to show you. You've got, as we mentioned before. I'm going to make this big so you guys can see it.
Yeah.
Whoops, wrong button.
That's not too bad. Yeah.
So this is here. The way this is set up here on this one is my video is above this thing. I've got the video at the top, and then down below, this is the audio down below here. And what it is that you've got these are your audio tracks, your wave tracks, right? So what you're seeing, these up and down peaks here, is someone speaking, or it's music, right? In this section over here, it's just it's music. That's all this is. But this is the rise and fall, the beats of that musical track that's happening there. Similarly here, this is the rise and fall of the action that's happening there. And that file, that volume can be adjusted. Typically, we're going to reset and delete all these things here.
Yeah.
Typically, you'll see it'll just start like this. When you bring it into the track, it'll just look like this. And if you go to this little, you see that little line there? I'll lower it down. That's me raising or lowering and raising the audio track. And you're like, oh, it's too loud. Oh, it's too quiet. You know, you can increase it by lifting that bar or decrease it by shrinking that bar.
Right.
And you can also do that at various times to your liking. So you're like, well, I want some audio I want the audio to be at this level for the first 5 seconds or the first 2 seconds, right? But then I want it to drop down a couple of decibels and stay down and then come back up a little bit later. So it's something, most programs are going to have the ability to put in what are called keyframes. And those are just simply points on any of these timelines where you can manipulate things different levels. So right now I just put in 4 keyframes there. At this first keyframe, I said we're going to have the audio level at that point. At the next keyframe down here, I want the audio to be at lower level. It'll stay at that level for this duration, and then it'll rise back up. So when I play it, the audio drops down, and then it comes back up.
Right.
That process there, you can, like I had it here where it's only dropped down a little bit, but you could literally take it out. You're like, I just want it to mute right there. And you know what? I'm going to get really fancy with this. I'm going to grab this soundtrack here. I'm going to put that in there.
You can. I have edited out someone's word.
Yeah, you can edit. So like I'm just muting that audio as we go here. So they're talking, the music's blaring, and then them talking comes out and it comes back in. You can do the opposite. You say at the beginning, I don't want any music to come in there,
right.
So I'm going to mute that music. But as they stop talking, as they're stopping talking, I want the music to come in at that moment. And all I'm doing is using keyframes and a little pen tool and adjusting that. So as I play it, right at this moment right here, that's this moment that we're talking about.
Right.
Want the audio, that the guy talking drop out and the music coming in. And that's how you would do that. You would just use keyframes there. Or, I mean, you can just delete, you say, well, I'm going to stop them talking at this moment, right? And we just cut that audio off, right? But a lot of times you don't need to do that. You want it a little more elegant, just then completely cut off. You want it to fade out. So that's why you use keyframes in any of this scenario to basically have it fade out. So that's a linear fade out.
Cool.
Cool. I can keep talking, guys, but I'm guessing that a few of you might have like specific questions that you need answered.
And then you also have similarity to the same things with the fade in, fade out with the video, and yeah, I just want to make a point that there, as you're attaching everything linearly, you have linear control over the timeline, because your timeline's along the top; those are seconds, and you can fade things in and out. Whatever you need just to make the final thing. And then
we can do that visually here.
Yeah, and then when you're editing, there's there's a lot of windows on your screen, and the two most important ones is where is where the needle's moving, and where you currently are, where you currently are in the video. So the preview window and then your timeline windows are the most important ones.
Yeah, what Bob's talking about there, this up here, this thing up on the top right there, that's your preview window, and then back down to your timeline window, right? So those are the two things that we're looking at. This timeline down here is showing me in my preview window what's playing. And what he was saying, as far as the visuals, you can do keyframes are available in the visuals just as well. And the only way to manipulate the visuals or to add keyframes, I'm just grabbing this pen tool in this little guy here, the pen tool. And I'm just going to add a keyframe and then another keyframe, and then I can start adjusting these things, right? So as we go from that visual to that one over there, the text that I created. Let's do this over this way.
So you'll fade out. Yeah, cool. Yeah. Perfect example.
Right. And there's other ways. That's just a fade out, right? So, but you could speed it up. The shorter these keyframe distances are, the faster that goes away, right? So we're saying, hey, at this point here, I want it at 100%, visual. I want to see 100% of the opacity of that thing. And then at this point here, I want it gone. And you see as it goes from there to there, it disappears. Right as that guy gets a knee to the head. So does anybody have a specific question that they wanted to ask?
Yeli, the floor is yours. Is he still on?
Oh yeah. I think he might have dropped off.
He dropped out?
Yeah. Let's just go into the Resolve program.
Yeah. So there's something on this. Sorry. For some reason, I thought DaVinci Resolve was already installed on this computer. So.
Oh no. Okay.
Install on control panel first. Okay. So, but it's okay. So I'm going to walk you guys through a little bit about what this means to install stuff. This is simply me not paying attention to. I thought that when I was installing a second ago that it would be totally fine, and it's only when I started clicking on it.
We could have this be a two-part classroom.
Yeah, we totally could.
And this is recorded, so it's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's what I've got. So when you go to download these programs, right? Here's DaVinci Resolve. It comes in this thing, and there's DaVinci Resolve Windows, and I extract it to my desktop, and then I double click on this guy. When I installed it originally, it said some of these things were already installed on the computer, but I'm getting this error message that's going on. Basically, what it's saying is it didn't install properly. So what I need to do is to uninstall the program and then reinstall it. It sounds like a laborious thing, but it's typically not too big of a deal. But there's a lot of this troubleshooting as you go through this that actually I might be able just to repair it. Okay. Sorry. Hopefully it doesn't require me to uninstall this, because if it does, that will be a very short conversation.
Okay, well, so now long story short, possibility of a second.
Yeah, long story short though, but it's just when I was installing it a bit ago, it had I hit a couple of buttons that were that I needed, that I'm finding out now that I need. So this right now is unstalling this thing, and then it's going to reinstall the thing. But the principles of an editing software, when I look at Premiere here, it's going to be the exact same thing in DaVinci. You're going to have a timeline. You're going to have video that pops in that you can put on, that you can manipulate. You're going to have audio that you can put in here and manipulate, and those things are going to be interchangeable. It's not like one is drastically different. We have I got 3 full-time editors that edit for us, and they interchange back and forth, and the only thing they need to learn is a few of the hotkeys.
Right.
Some of the buttons change their configuration, but the principles for this stuff is all going to be the exact same.
So Adam, what do? You have a film company or what?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I own Black Raven Films, which is a video production business here in Las Vegas. We do all the video creation for Fremont Street Experience. We do there's a couple of attorneys here in town we work for. We were picked up a very large cannabis company here recently. It's a ton of fun. So and occasionally I get to do fun stuff like blow up cars. We've blown up 3 cars in the last 3 years and launched 3 cars off of a 100-foot cliff in the last 3 years, which has been a heck of a lot of fun. So.
Okay.
Yeah, are you currently on team?
Yeah, I'm currently on team. This is my last quarter here on team, but it's been a heck of a lot of fun doing. And I'm also an introduction leader out here in Las Vegas, and
wow.
I live a creative life, right?
What's going on there, huh?
Yeah. Well, the video production business is out of my participation with Landmark. It's because of Landmark that I own a video production business. So.
Awesome, yeah, definitely.
So
are you back? Is that Yeli?
Yeah,
No,
of course, it's me.
I thought you got dropped off. So do you have any, this meeting is specifically for you right now. Do you have any specific questions?
Yeah,
For
it's for
Adam?
me. It's for Hamoudi, not just for me. But yeah, I got a lot of from this meeting.
Is
Yeah.
Hamoudi on?
Yeah, he's on. He's
Oh, okay,
listening on
great.
mute.
Okay, well, start chiming in because we want you to be set up powerfully.
And what we're creating is a follow-up meeting to this, going through this DaVinci Resolve. So what we can do is everyone download the link, install it in their computer, and work with a little video editing thing, and then that we can reconvene in let's say a week for questions. Are you available in a week, Adam, to follow up with any questions that people would have?
Yeah, I think we could totally do that.
Okay.
I think for today, I'm curious if anybody's got any specific questions about just editing in general. Like, hey, how do I do this? Right?
Okay. I have two questions that I hear a lot.
Yep.
So let's handle those. So first of all, it was actually they're both from Brian Patrick, who's editing Rika's video, who was on the call earlier today. What happens is, well, it's like zooming in and out of a video when you're in the editing frame, and then exporting it to a format that works on all the platforms. Those are the two questions I have. So what happens is someone makes a video, then it gets sent, and then the aspect ratio gets changed, and it gets sent back again, and the aspect ratio gets changed again. So eventually you end up with a small video in a big black frame. We lost him. I think that's what happened is when he was uploading the software. But I'll keep on rolling here. So yeah, that's a question we have, and because we want people to really know how to get the file to us, and also a good way to get the file to us is to use Google Docs is fine, but it kind of Google Drive works okay. Not the best.
Which ones do you prefer?
Google Drive, works okay. Sometimes it doesn't always work. WeTransfer seems to always work for me.
WeTransfer.
But I got to get him back onto the call here and to teach us how to export the project into a format in the whole aspect ratio problem.
So Lori, are you making a video?
I'm not for this. I want to make a video, yeah. Just a personal one.
Yes.
Oh.
I'm going to make a video.
That's something for your husband to watch while he's away from when this is.
Maybe I'll do another one for what I'm up to now. But I have a lot of dance videos I want to put together. But I want to do maybe a homeless one too. Maybe I'll do it for team sometime. I already had one.
Cool.
Yeah. So Yili, I want you and I want to see Mohammed's face. Is he up here? Or?
Oh yeah, he's there. Yep, I see him.
I don't see you. Come on, where's your face? How come I don't get to see you?
I see it.
I see it.
I don't see it. Is this it? Let me see. What's this?
He's making funny faces.
I see you.
Your problem. Sorry, your problem.
There you go. I see Bob all the time. I got Bob out of there. Now I can see you.
Okay, I'm not look like Bob.
Okay. All right. So have you been on this the whole time? And congratulations on your video, what you've created so far. You did a good job. I'm impressed.
You see that?
I saw it. I was going to bed. I was like, okay, I have to go to sleep so I can wake up and be on this call.
Okay. Adam's back for our wrap-up questions here.
Yeah, sorry guys. As you were asking the question, Bob, it literally just stopped all of a sudden. So you want to repeat that question real quick?
Okay, so back into first of all, we're talking about zooming in and out of videos.
Yep.
So the video fills up the whole screen, and secondly is exporting your final project. You know, exporting and sharing your project basically.
Okay, so the first one, zooming in and out. Do you just mean like making the video bigger or smaller or anything like that?
Well, what happens is someone sends like a video across, and then the format changes, and eventually you end up with a smaller video around a big black frame. And first of all, we try to get the video maker to chase down the original video file, because it's going to keep some format manipulation in the process, and that doesn't work. Having the pristine original source of your software of your video is primo perfect, because if you send like a video clip via text message, your text message software will compress it to the point that it's not what we're looking for.
Right.
But sometimes it's just a short clip and you have no control over it, and it's just like a little 5-second clip of something. Yeah. And you're just gonna roll with it anyway, and just zoom right into a portion. Yeah. Like if you were to zoom in right into that cage.
Yeah. So what Bob's talking about there is all your video clips have a specific size, right? So you've heard the terms HD and you've heard the terms 4K. That's just talking about how big the video is, how many pixels tall, how many pixels wide that video clip is. Well, your timeline, this guy down here at the bottom, right? Whoops, this guy right here, your timeline has a specific number of pixels tall and wide, and most of them are going to be 16 by 9, right? Well, there's a lot of different ways you can get 16 by 9 video. So if I double click on this guy here, I'm going to shrink this video up. So you see up in the project panel up there, the preview screen, I shrunk it, right? Or I'm like, no, I want to zoom in on it, right? You can manipulate the sizing of any of your videos based on a couple of different things that you want to do. But most of what you're talking about is you get a video that looks like this. It's really small, and I've got black bars around it. I need it I need it to be the proper size. So one of the things you can do is when you get in here is just go to the scale. Is on any of these things, a lot of in Windows at least, just right click. I think there's in Apple it's control click, I want to say, but basically you're going to dive into the sizing of things. You can double click on it, go to the effects control panel, and then you're just looking for the scale. How do I mess with scale? There's also other ways that you can do it, like scale to frame size is one thing that happens when I look. Let's look at this properties on this thing. I'm just looking at properties. This video is 1920 by 1080. And my project itself has specific sizing. So if I go to, where's my timeline here? This is V1. If I go to my project panel here, the sequence that I got, this timeline, is actually 1280 by 720. So what it's basically saying is that my timeline, what I'm editing in, the size of my video is 720 by 1280, but the video I dropped in here, this UFC fight, that's twice as big. It's literally twice as big. So if I'm going to delete this out. So what you'll find is when I go into I'm starting my project, I'm going to go and grab this and I drop it in here, in my timeline, and I go to it. See how the text is all, it's super big in comparison, right? It's like half the text is off. What happened? What's going on there? Well, what's going on there is I dropped a 1920 by 1080 video into a 720 by 1280 timeline. The two don't match, right? So I've got this massive video. I'm dropping it into a smaller size bin. So there's two ways you can do it. One is you could change your whole timeline. You can go, well, I want to edit. All my video is 1920 by 1080. I want to change my timeline size. So we literally could go to our timeline, which is something like this here, and dive into the settings of it, which actually I don't want to do that. I'm gonna go.
Is there a way that you can? I mean, what I end up doing is just going to the screen, clicking on it, and there's like little grab handles that come, and you can just pull it apart.
Yeah, there are. Let's see if I can. There are, but they're kind of hidden, right? So I gotta make my screen bigger in order to see it, right? But which actually, see if I pull up here, those things disappear, right? That's what I'm talking about, these grab handles, right? I can grab those, but that's what's difficult. That's actually not a very.
It's not very professional.
Well, it's you got to guess all the time, right? And it's is that the right thing? You know, so you can do that, but there's a lot of easier ways. Like in Premiere here, they literally have a scale to frame size. You hit that button, and it just scales it down. Oops.
Ooh. All right.
Sorry. We're gonna undo that. So, by the way, Control Z is your favorite button. Control Shift Z is your other favorite button, because you can redo.
Which the second one? Which one? The second one?
Control Z is undo, right? Okay. So if I go up into Edit, you see it up here in the top. Control Z is undo, or redo. Control Shift Z. Yeah. So if you're editing along, you're like, okay, I'm editing. This pops in. Oh crap, let's scale that to frame. All right. So I'm editing along. Okay, that looks good. And then you click on something. You're like, oh no, where did everything go? I just screwed everything up. Control Z is going to undo it. And you can keep seeing until you get back to where you're at. This has limited ability. You can only do that so much. In fact, you can see how much you can do it. If I go to my histories panel over here, that's how far I can go back. Those are all the things I've done up to this point, but it's got like a 30 or 40 moves limit. So if you need to go back a whole bunch of times, that's as far as you can go back. But control.
What about, Adam, I have a question.
Yep.
What about adding photos and put them on several photos on the same shot, on the same screen?
Ah, perfect. Okay, so you're like, I want to bring in a bunch of photos. We're going to go and import, which is, I'm just going to right click on that thing. I'm going to hit import, or I double click and I go, I want this wedding screenshot to be brought in. Let's bring that thing in, and let's import another photo. Let's do this car photo here, and let's just do those two. You can do more. So you've imported them into your project panel. They're now sitting in your project panel, and you got to get them onto your timeline. So I'm just clicking and dragging those onto my timeline there, and I think there we go. There it is. That picture. What's going on with that picture? It's the wrong size. Again, we're running into that problem. The photo is a different size than our project is. So I can go to scale to frame size, or the other way I can manipulate this is I can get it up into my effects panel here, which I just did that by double clicking on it. Right? Anything I want to get up to a source window, I just double click on that footage, double click on that photo, and it gets it up to my source window here. And once it's up here, I can start messing around with the effects control, which any of these things you can see. I got an audio track mixer I can mess with, effects control, or I can go back to the source. So we're going to go to the effects control here, and I can adjust the size there, right? Now, undo that. Typically what you'll see is when you go scale to frame, I've still got these bars on the side. There's two cool things you can do for photos. One is we can create a second instance of that photo. By the way, I just hit Alt and dragged. It's a cool way we can get two of these there. And so they're both photos are the same size. We're going to go to the one beneath it, go to the effects control, and we're going to increase that. You see how it's behind it? Right? So I got this photo underneath and then this one above it. All right.
Actually, it's another layer.
It's another layer, right? It's layered, right? Then I'm going to go to my effects panel. I'm going to grab blur. So just type in blur, and typically we want Gaussian blur. It's usually Gaussian blur is a really easy one. It's just universal. It just means a universal blur all the way around. Go that, and I go to blurriness, and I'll blur it out. And so when you watch it, you've got the photo in front and the photo behind. That kind of looks a little. You can kind of see it, right? And you can have both of these. You can have this one on top. Maybe we're gonna set a keyframe on this. So I'm going to turn on, I'm going to move a keyframe. Let's go here. Go to the beginning of this clip here. Oops. Go to the beginning of this clip, and I set a keyframe there, right? Set a keyframe. And I go to the end of that clip. We're going to set another keyframe. This keyframe, we're going to make it slightly bigger, right? So as I play through it, we're going to do a slight push in on that photo. All I did was I set a keyframe at the beginning of my panel, at the beginning of this. That's a keyframe right there. It's kind of challenging to see, but that little diamond thing, it looks like that little thing, that's a keyframe. Every time I set a keyframe, I'm telling the computer, at this point in time, do something different. At this point in time, do something different, right? So, and I'm like, I don't want that last keyframe, so we're gonna do this. So that's one way to get one photo up on screen. You're like, hey, I want to have another one. I want Derek on screen, and what's that other photo? I want this wedding photo on screen. So I'm gonna drop that wedding. Oh, let's shrink that down. Let's move it to the side over here to the right, and let's move Derek's to the left.
That is quite an interesting array of video.
Oh, it totally is, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. But all I'm doing is just adjusting these things. Oops. Again, Control Z anytime. See how these things over here position? They're X and Y axis controls. Those are the most precise way to move anything on screen. Because if you ever screw up, you just go back and it goes back to the original, or and you can manipulate these. You want to fly something in. You're like, hey, I'd like to fly one of these photos in. You're setting keyframes. See how that one kind of zooms back? Why is that doing that? It's because I've set keyframes on this thing. I'm telling the computer at different points in time, I want this picture to do certain things, right? So right at the beginning, let's say I want that picture to be off screen, and then at this point, I want to fly that picture in, right? So it'll look like this, right? Oops. Wow. Oops. I'm missing a keyframe. I'm missing a keyframe. Okay. Sorry. So what happens? You get all excited. You're like, "Ooh, I did this amazing thing," and then nothing happens. You're like, what did I do?
How do you set the keyframe? What do you push?
It's this little add remove keyframe.
Okay, add remove. That's under. Okay.
And if you're like, hey, but I don't see that when I click on like position here. What I didn't do is turn on the position keyframe. So I got to toggle that animation for keyframes to start happening. Any of these little clock things, these are positional keyframes I'm going to do. So you need to manipulate two things: the position and the scale. So I'm going to add a position keyframe at the beginning. I'm going to fly that out. So as I move in, as I move my timeline, that picture flies in, right? And right now we just have it as a slide, but you might want to use a photo to swipe onto a screen, right? As I come here, I want that photo to take over the screen, right? So at this point, I want it to take over the entire screen here. A little bigger.
You do 50.
When it flies in, and you're like, wait a minute, that wedding photo's in the shot. Why is the wedding video still in the shot? Because it's on top of Derek's thing. So I'm like, oh, I want it up there. So all I did was, oops.
And in the timeline, you end up layering things on top of each other. It's like kind of like a cake.
Yeah, it is a cake. It's very much a cake. So Derek's video, Derek's photo, which is that one right there, is now on top of that wedding video, right? So sorry guys, I'm hitting all these buttons. As I come from this image to this image, it's flying on top of it. And you're like, wait a minute, why does it keep going back to there? Why is it doing that? It's doing that because I've got an extra keyframe that I need to get rid of. See this one here? It's like the position changes all of a sudden. So something's in there. Oh, as I zoom in, you can see I got an extra keyframe in there. It's really easy to get. See, there's two of these keyframes. Like, no, I don't want that. This keyframe needs to be deleted. And then this keyframe needs to be deleted.
Right. Well, I want to be mindful of the time because
yeah, it's 9:01 here. So
11:01. So, and I appreciate this because it's a question that people have. It's an awesome question because people don't know how to put the images in there, and basically you drop them into the timeline, and then you
can start manipulating them.
Right. They could be sequential. A lot of times they're just sequential images. They're not as fancy as things flying flying cars and brides. You know.
Flying cards and brides, yes. That just might be a jump cut. So you go, well, how do I jump cut from this one? This one flies in, and then I jump cut to this one, and we're just going to reset the scale and position on this. We're going to fly in, jump cut.
Yeah. And then there's, so I think this is really cool, and I think it's a framework for something we could jump into another a webinar and then do all these little tricks and things in DaVinci Resolve, and then people can see you actually doing it in the software that they would be doing it in.
Yeah, I finally got this one loaded up here.
Yeah,
DaVinci
so
Resolve. At the end, it's there. Yeah, but everything we talked about today, it's basically the same. There's slight differences and everything,
right.
But it's available. It's free. There is an enormous amount of tutorials. If you literally just go online to editing course for DaVinci Resolve, there is tutorials galore on YouTube.
Okay.
For all the stuff, right? There's literally hours and hours of crash course how to edit these things online, how to get footage in, and it's just it's a learning process. So I can take you guys through.
What do you do whenever you want to add music and you don't own the rights to the music?
As long as it's not like two things. One is the visuals that all of the stuff that we're playing at the event. I wouldn't worry about music rights whatsoever. I'd use whatever song I wanted to use, because it's not. No one's ever gonna go, oh, you guys used Beyonce's song and you owe us rights. It's never gonna happen. So when it's there in the space, I wouldn't worry about it. Loading it up online, YouTube will flag it. Sometimes they remove it, sometimes they don't. It just depends on who owns the music. And if you want, there's tons of free music that's royalty-free music that you can find online. Just type in royalty-free music, free-to-use music.
So that's for our weekends, Adam. We don't allow them to use like Beyonce and stuff.
Oh, well, you should be able to, because you guys have some sort of license to play the other music that you play in the space, right?
It's a question of the YouTube website.
Yeah, we do put it on. We put it on YouTube. We put the videos on YouTube. So I wouldn't suggest that. I would suggest using the royalty free. There's plenty of that, and you don't really need to have a lot of singing in the background. It's more instrumental for this purpose, right? So.
Yeah, and there's sites all over the place, royalty-free music.
Okay, guys, we need to
that's the team
go
Israel
to another meeting.
Here.
Thank you, guys. It was very helpful. Adam, you are the best, and thank you for organizing that.
Oh, my pleasure. If you get stuck, I'll send you the page I've got with a bunch of these links. I can send that to you guys out. Bob, if you want to get it out to them.
Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll compile an email with the software link, the link to the recording to this, and then the PowerPoint. So if you can email the PowerPoint to me, I'll send it.
I've got it in a PDF that you can just download. Just a 2-page PDF. So
next time you're in Israel, come to visit.
I will, Gilly.
Yeah. We're going to do this again next week, you said, right?
Yeah. Are you available same time next week?
Do we want to set that up, or do you want to come back?
Yeah, I'd say tentatively yes. I have a wife that's very pregnant that has a baby shower that morning, so I have to ask permission.
Okay, well, I'll speak to you then, Adam, okay, and then we'll get that confirmed. And thank you so much. You've been wonderful. You just jumped on board just like that. I really acknowledge that. So thank you. This was great, just doing the Zoom too. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great.
Cool.
Gonna do Zoom from now on.
Cool. Bye, guys.